Hey, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. Just as a reminder, the 5Q breakdown from last week. Here's a really easy problem to fix and probably one of the biggest bangs for the buck in improvement time spent. Guys, please pay attention to these and invest 10 or 15 minutes to do that. I want to start out the call today with a fun video that I used in my Take Your Brain for a Jog seminar for prospects or for doing a seminar for marketing purposes, but it really demonstrates a very important topic, is that we can lose the trees for the forest, or we can get so deep into something small that we don't take a step back and look at something big, and we're only can really only look at one thing or concentrate on one thing at a time. So many of you have probably seen this, but please pay attention to it and see if you can follow along here. So this is a psychological test that was designed back in 2010 to see how well people can pay attention. So let's watch this.
The monkey business illusion. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the ball. The correct answer is 16 passes.
So how many of you got that right? Say yay or nay of getting that right. I want to answer. Yay or nay, Y or N. But there's a next step, because so many people have seen this before. So keep paying attention here.
Did you spot the gorilla? For people who haven't seen or heard about a video like this before, about half missed the gorilla. If you knew about the gorilla, you probably saw it. But did you notice the curtain changing color or the player on the black team leaving the game? Let's rewind and watch it again. Here comes the gorilla, and there goes a player, and the curtain is changing from red to gold.
So how many of you noticed all of those things? I didn't, and I was, because I was like, oh, I've seen this gorilla one over and over and over again. So there's the gorilla, but I did not notice the curtain, did not notice the other person leaving. So now I do, seeing all that stuff. But it's a great demonstration that there are so many things going on that you really have to take a step back and look at things how many times. I mean, this is a great indication of why you need to do the 5Q tape breakdown. You know, this is a great reason on why, when you're looking, why these breakdowns make sense, because you're doing so many things in a meeting, you're going to miss things that you otherwise wouldn't have seen. And guys, when I listen to a tape 5 times, do I hear the same thing all 5 times? Or do I learn something new every single time I listen to that tape? I learn something new every time I listen to that tape. Why? Because when I'm listening to tape, I'm generally have something in my mind I'm looking for. And that's why when you do your most important 15-minute drill, you don't just listen to tape. You go in, listen to tape, saying, I want to hear if I made a statement instead of asking a question, or I want to see if I asked a closed-ended question instead of an open-ended question, or I want to see, did I correct the client? So you go in looking for one thing, but when you're looking for that one thing, you're missing everything else. But that's how we learn, and that's the importance of going back and reviewing tapes. And if you don't want to do it, learn from other people's mistakes. Listen to the 5Q tape breakdowns, and you'll learn something new every single time, okay? So, oops, we got to go to the next one here. So clients first. Your best interest is our purpose. So when you do more than you're paid for, eventually you'll be paid for more than you do. This is the whole thing. When people would ask me, well, how do you make $1 million a year? I'd say, by doing things I don't get paid for. That is what we do with the 5Q process, the 21-point checklist process. We do things we don't get paid for, which brings people on. So what we want to do is do some succession planning, which is going to help your clients, which is also going to help your business. So by succession planning, I mean, I only worked with retired folks. So when you only work with retired folks, do you have clients die on a fairly regular basis? Yes, you do. So when people die, there's things that you can do that will help them, help your clients. But here's the funny thing. By helping your clients, it's going to help your business. Why is that? Why is that? What are all the research or all the stats show for how many people, how many wives stay with their financial advisor when the husband dies? What percentage of wives stay with their financial advisor when the husband dies? Yeah, Steve says it's a low percentage. I've got 25, I've got 10. Yeah, it depends on where you look at it, but I've seen right around that 23% stay with, which means over 3/4 of them leave. And why? Because you didn't have a relationship with them, the wife, to begin with. So, and then children, what percentage of children stay with their parents' financial advisor? Yeah, even less by a lot. That's right, even less by a lot. Now, all of my children stayed, when my clients died, my clients' children stayed with me. Why? Why did they stay with me? They called me before they called the funeral director. Their parents said, if something happens to me, you need to call Mike. You need to call Mike. You need to call Mike. He has all our documents. He has all our information. He's going to walk you through everything. You need to call Mike. I mean, they pounded that into their kids' heads. Do you have that kind of relationship? I tell you what, if you haven't done a 21-point checklist, if you don't go through a 21-point checklist every single annual meeting, you're not going to have that kind of relationship. But if you do it on a regular basis, on an annual basis, go through that 21-point checklist with them, you're going to have that kind of relationship. So when your client becomes an executor, what are the best things, or what are things we can do to help them out? So here's, first of all, there's the before and there's after. So this is a great thing to do at an annual meeting, because many of our clients, when they're retired, they still have parents who are older than them, right? So if they're 60, they've got clients who are, they've got parents who are 85 years old. So many of our clients are still children of living parents. And it'd be great for you to say, listen, let's sit down and get these things put together for your parents, because you're going to be their future executor. Also, this is a great way to draw in your clients' children too, because they're going to be a future executor, right? So first thing you want to do is find out exactly where the will is located. Don't say it's in the basement. I mean, where in the basement? Which filing cabinet? Is it online? Well, then what website is it on? What's the password to the website? Is it with the attorney? Well, then what's the attorney's contact information? And for sure, don't put your will where? Where should you not put your will? And I've seen this happen over and over and over. Never put your will into a safety deposit box. That's right, Nick and Tom. Because why? Because if the bank finds out you died, guess what? You can't get access to that safety deposit box until the court process is done. So do not put it into the safety deposit box. Second thing you should do is, whom should you notify? Do we, for example, my father, do I know who my father, the names of the people, and contact information for when my father would go to 2 different coffee groups every single morning? Did I have any clue who those people were? their names, their contact information. Do I know any of his Navy buddies? Nope, don't know any of the Navy buddies. Any of his college friends? Do I know any of those things? No. So do we have a tool that helps with that? What's the tool that we have at 5Q that helps with that? Please, please, somebody. Aha. Thanks, John. Survivor's Guide. In the Survivor's Guide, we have lots of different things. So one of those things is, who should I contact? And we even have a script for that if you want to get that in depth for why that's important. Because think about this, guys. Think about this. Do I know if my dad has gone back and found somebody who maybe it was an old girlfriend that they reconnected? No. And she maybe lives out of state and they've been communicating, texting, whatever, via writing letters or whatever they may be. How bad would that be if all of a sudden he just dropped off the face of the earth and that person would never contact, and then they find out 6 months later? So these are the kind of things that you can walk through with your clients and make them understand that these are important things. And heck, in today's world, we don't even know people's phone numbers anymore. They're in our phones. So we need to know these kind of things, or let people know who and they should contact, or who should be contacted if something happens to them. Does that make sense? Number 3, put all of your passwords in a place where they can be found. And I'm as guilty as this as anybody. I mean, Michelle, my wife, and I, we constantly we have slips of paper all over the place with passwords. And half the times we forget them, we have to create a new password. That's easy. You can create a new password. That's easy if it's you. But if it's somebody else, if it's your parent, is that going to be very easy to ask for a new password? No. So make sure the passwords are all, and would this be a great value-added thing for you to give your clients, is help them with, are there apps out there that help people remember their passwords? Are there apps out there that help people remember their passwords and give them good, strong passwords, etc.? Yes. So would that be a great focus group to have with your clients on how to save your passwords, connected to the Survivor's Guide? Would you be adding value-added service to your clients to help them do that? Heck, I'd love to have a financial advisor walk me through it, because I don't know how to do that. I mean, it's on my to-do list, but sometimes you need some help to get it off your to-do list and actually get it done. So going to a little focus group where you could actually help people do it right then and there at the little focus group would be something they would really love. And then you could offer to help their parents with that. Number 4, make sure people know who gets what, the non-financial items. We talk about that too, right? Because how easy is it to divide, they've got 3 children. How easy is it to divide the money by 3? Easy or hard? E or H? Easy or hard? It's easy. Money, divide by 3, right? Boom. 1, 2, 3. There's $100,000. Each one gets $33,000. That's easy, easy. You know what's really hard? Grandma's mixing bowl. 3 daughters. Everybody wants grandma's mixing bowl. Dad's shotgun. 3 boys. Dad's shotgun. Who wants that? See, you can't divide a mixing bowl. You can't divide a shotgun by 3. Mom's ring. I mean, this happened in my family. So my wife's grandmother, or not my wife's grandmother. Yeah, my wife's grandmother. That's right. My wife's grandmother died, and she only had 1 daughter and 1 son. When her mom died, obviously the daughter, my wife's mom, thought she was going to get the ring, but the son's wife, the daughter-in-law, she took the ring. Now this ring was worth probably $200. I mean, it was not a unbelievable, valuable ring. It had sentimental value. And you would think, duh, the daughter gets it, not the son. The daughter gets it. And certainly not the daughter-in-law. And it caused some real friction because when during times of grief, are people completely logical, or is there a lot of emotions roiling around? Can people say things they wouldn't otherwise say? Could people make decisions they wouldn't otherwise do? See, those how much of a fight would it have been? How much of a problem would it have been if in the survivor's guide it said, this ring goes to my daughter? Would there have been any discussion then? No, but because there was nothing like that, this thing went round and round for 2 weeks until my wife's mom finally got the ring, but it caused a lot of hard feelings. That's over something stupid. If you saw this ring, you would laugh. Why are people fighting over this ring? But can that happen with families? Yes. So in the survivor's guide, it also talks about what? Who gets what? Number 5, let them know about the skeletons. And what they mean here is, are there any skeletons in the closet? Is there a shoebox full of love letters that they wouldn't want the general family to find out about? Is there, all sorts of different things that maybe people don't want other people to know about? If they are, then if you do know about that, you can get into the house before everybody else gets there, and gets that and get that information out of there. Also, along with skeletons in the closet, is what? Do people bury cash all over the house? In between blankets, in pillowcases, in the wall, underneath floorboards. Do people do that? They do that all the time. And do you want to leave? And many, many, many families now, what are they doing with mom and dad's house? What are they doing with mom and dad's house? Are they going in and buying it and primping it and selling it, or are they just handing it to a service to sell it for them? Are there people out there who just say, you know what? Are there lots of services out there that are just buying houses as is and then selling them because families don't want to even deal with it? Happens all the time. If that happens, what's going to happen to all that $5,000 cash or $10,000 cash that was stashed all over the house? It's gone. So talk to them about skeletons in the closet, cash they have stashed, things like that. Gold, silver they have stashed, things like that. Those are all things you can do. But that's what you do before. So before you die, number 1, find out exactly tell people exactly where those are located. 2, who they should notify if they die. 3, all the passwords in one place. 4, make sure they all know who gets the non-financial items. 5, the skeletons in the closet. Would walking through those things with people be valuable? Yes or no? Yay or nay? Would walking through just those 5 things with your current clients be valuable? Sure, I think they would really like that in a little focus group. Now, what happens when they actually do become executors? Well, now what do you do? Well, first, make sure they know they have a choice. If you're appointed executor, do you have to perform? No. Grief can be overwhelming, so make sure they know they can resign as executor, reassign other people as executors, or hire a professional executor. They don't need to be the executor if they don't have times. I mean, here's some things you can ask them. Okay, you're now the executor, but let me ask you a question. Are there potential conflicts or disagreements among the heirs, and are you okay with being the middleman? Are you okay with being the pickle in the middle? Are you okay with being the one that has to handle them, or would you rather somebody else do that? 2, do you even have the time and availability to act as executor? And those of you that have acted as executors, does it take time and a lot of hassle? I mean, one of the things I learned was that they want marriage licenses, they want death certificates, and then they want multiple death certificates, and they cannot be copies. They have to be originals. They have to have your mortgage, the title of the house. I mean, it is a lot of hassle. Do you have the time and availability to do those things? Do you have a support network that can help you, an attorney, a family members, a friends that can help you do this? Are you aware of the tax and legal implications of being an executor? So if you're not prepared for these things, you can give assign that to somebody else. People change executors all the time. The important thing to do is promptly. So don't feel guilty if you appoint somebody else executor, but if you're going to do that, do it promptly. Don't let the time lag on. If they have to going through all that with them to say, no, I want to be the executor, then super. What do you do then? Well, first of all, provide emotional support. Provide emotional support, and you should do this regardless. And remember, we had a coaching call this about back on January 29th, which is how to help people grieve. What are the right things to say? What are the wrong things to say? So I would mark this down so if a client dies, you go back and look at that 30 minutes of that coaching call about how you handle and what you say, because many of us will say things that we thought were good things to say, but are actually very, very poor and emotionally draining things to say to somebody who's grieving. Help them find professional support if they don't have it already. Help them find an attorney. Help them find an accountant. Help them find a real estate professional to sell the house. Help them sort through the estate, sort all of the assets, determine how much liquid assets is available to pay for immediate costs, consolidate accounts if it makes sense, determine potential estate and inheritance tax, make sure they know what they have to do a final tax return, review and file for their life insurance, analyze and in case I die list or document if somebody's left that. Be an advocate for your client if necessary. Ask if they would like you involved in the process and discussions with the family, the beneficiaries, the attorney, the accountant, the real estate professional. Tell them you'd be more than happy to do that. Because is this a new experience for these people many times? Have they ever dealt with this before as being executor and dealing with the family members and the beneficiaries and the attorneys and the accountants and selling a house that's not even their own and what goes on with that? So offer to help them. And most importantly, offer to advise the beneficiaries. How many people who inherit a qualified account understand, heck, I barely understand the ins and outs of inheriting a qualified account. How many non-trained people, how many people not in our field understand what has to be done and the options for when they inherit a qualified account? What percentage of people do you think? Yeah, very, very few, basically none, I would say, yes. So advise beneficiaries, and here's tips. Take them out to eat first or begin on an informal basis. Invite the beneficiaries to a little lunch and learn about the do's and don'ts of being a beneficiary. Be genuine, not salesy. Find common ground. Send them tools to make their decisions easier. Give them information about you and your services. So do you think beneficiaries would like these kind of things? I think taking them out to eat, it depends on the relationship you already had with them. But even if you didn't know them or had a very minimal relationship with them, may they be interested in going to a lunch and learn where you're going to go through the do's and don'ts of being a beneficiary? Do you think they'd be interested in that? I think many would. I mean, I would. So that, because they would bring who are they going to bring? Their brothers? They're going to bring their brothers, their sisters, their whatever to that. So they feel like there's power in numbers and they don't feel like you're going to strong arm them. Does that make sense? So is this a way that you can provide value to your clients where they're not paying you? When you do these things, what does it show that client? That you care. You care more about than just the money. You care about them and their family. So these are things that you should be well versed in and have some sort of process available for when a client dies. And I would certainly be thinking about, if you want to start looking for referrals, I would be looking at doing a lunch and learn for clients on what to do before. And the 5 things you do to tell your future executive. Just actually copy those 5 slides and go through, and they'd be happy. Make sense? So today we're going to talk about interest rate risks in the coaching call. So here's a question I ask you: interest rates are most likely going what direction? Up or down? Yeah, most likely they're going to go down. Is it guaranteed they're going to go down? No. If they go down, how long are they going to go down before they go back up? So when we talk about interest rate risk, are we really talking about whether interest rates are going to go up or down? What is the point we're making when it comes to interest rate risk? What is the point we're making with a client or a prospect when we talk about interest rate risk? Volatility, yes, but volatility as it pertains to what? What were these clients told about their fixed portfolio, about bonds? What were they? They were safe. That's right, Steve. So our point with this is what? First of all, when the way that many advisors advise people is you have your safe money and you have your growth money. Your growth money is in what? Now, we're not talking about us. We're talking about the 99% of the other advisors out there. They say you have growth money and safe money. Growth money is in what? Equities, and your safe money is in what? Not you guys, but what does all the other advisors say? Your safe money is in what? Come on, guys. What's all the other advisors out there say? Where's the safe money? Bonds, right? Bonds, bonds, bonds. And so we want them to understand that premise that your growth money is in stocks and your safe money is in bonds is 100% what? The premise that your growth money is in growth or in equities, your safe money is in bonds is 100% false. That's right, Steve. 100% false. That's the purpose of the interest rate risk script. So do we really care what direction interest rates are going? Should we still be doing? No, we don't. So should we still be doing the interest rate risk script right now? Even if we think interest rates are going down, should we? Yes, because the whole point is if they have 50% of their money, I'm just using a number here, 50% of money in stock and 50% of money in bonds, they think they what? They have 50% of money in growth and 50% of the money safe, but actually they have how much of their money in non-safe place? 100%. So 100% of their money is in non-safe place. Do they realize that? No. So this whole script is designed not to try to guess which way interest rates are going up or down. The script is for them to decide that, you know what, your advisor said that bonds are safe. They're not. So your portfolio is a heck of a lot more risky than you thought. 100% of your portfolio is, if you have 50% in stocks, 50% in bonds, you have 100% of your portfolio is in what? Non-guaranteed things. Now, again, that's if they don't have whole bonds. What percent of people buy individual bonds versus bond funds or ETFs? Do most people have individual bonds? Yeah, they're very, very low. And what we find out with interest rate risk, what we'll find in this is that what? Is there any guarantees or in a bond fund? No. In a bond ETF, no. It's actually even worse than typical because there will be people that will sell as interest rates start to erode the value of a bond, and then you've just locked in that loss if you hold on. So we'll kind of walk through that. So does everybody understand interest rate risk is not up? Because I've had people say, well, interest rates are probably going down, so I can skip this script, right? No. This script has nothing to do with whether interest rates are going up or down. It has to do with it. Their advisor told them bonds are safe, and them understanding that that was 100% false. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's get out of here. Get into here, and we'll find interest rate risk.
Presently, maybe some exposure to interest rate volatility.
Okay.
And what that talks about is how your investments are set up.
Okay.
So you have in your portfolio, you have both stocks and what?
Bond.
And why don't you just have one or the other? Because they both have disadvantages and they all have what?
Advantages.
Yeah, so should we look at that?
Sure.
So you have stocks and you have bonds. And we said they both have what?
Advantages and disadvantages.
Advantages, and they have disadvantages. So the advantages of stock are what? What do we hope they do?
They'll go up a lot.
Grow, right? That's
Right.
the advantages. And are we in bonds for growth or are we in there for safety?
Safety.
Safety.
So did you see how I did that there? So I said, what's the advantage of bonds? If I ask that question, first of all, when I say, what's the advantage of stocks, what percentage of people are going to say growth? What percentage of people are going to say growth? Virtually everybody. They grow. Now, if I say, what's the advantage of bonds, how many people, do we have any clue what people are going to say when it's bonds? Well, because they're with the government, or they have good interest, predictable interest, or they're safe. They could say a number of things. Do I want them to say a number of things, or do I want them to say the one thing I want them to say? So listen again to how I asked that question when it comes to both stocks and bonds. I'm going to back it up here.
Bonds.
Bonds. And why don't you just have one or the other? Because they both have disadvantages, and they all have what?
Advantages.
Yeah, so should we look at that?
Sure.
So you have stocks, and you have bonds. And we said they both have what?
Advantages and disadvantages.
Advantages, and they have disadvantages. So the advantages of stock are what? What do we hope they do?
They'll go up a lot.
How many people are going to say, what do we hope stocks do? What percentage of people are going to say, go up? Go up a lot. What percentage? Virtually all of them. Okay, now listen to what I do with bonds.
Oh, right. That's the advantages. And are we in bonds for growth, or are we in there for safety?
Safety.
How many people are going to say safety? When I asked it, are we in bonds for growth, or are we in bonds for safety? What percentage of people are going? All of them are, right? See, so do you see how the way this script is crafted, we know exactly what the client's going to say, and it's going to help them understand better the Socratic logic of why their advisor took advantage of them.
Safety. Okay, and the disadvantage of stocks, anything go up, can what?
Go down.
So it has some what?
Risk.
Yeah. And the disadvantages of bonds is they don't what?
They don't make as much.
They don't make as much. They don't make as much. Exactly right. So we're in bonds for what purpose?
Safety.
Safety.
So now how many times have I had Jeff say that we're in bonds for safety at this point? Twice. We're going to have him say 4 or 5 times, right, Dale? But right now, twice. So we're going to, and we want him to say that because then he's going to find out, oh, wait, bonds aren't safe.
So we need to look at how bonds work. And I use a teeter-totter for that. So the way that bonds work is this. When interest rates go down, bond values go what?
Up.
Up. Exactly right. So vice versa is if interest rates go down, then what direction are, I'm sorry, if interest rates go up, what's going to happen to bond values?
Go down.
They're going to go down. So have you ever seen anything like that? When interest rates go up, what's going to happen to bond values? It's the opposite.
Go down.
Yep, and when interest rates go down, they're going to go
up.
And you might be wondering now, why does interest rates, why when interest rates go down, would that cause them to go up, or when interest rates go up, it would cause them to go down? Can we just walk through why that might be? Okay. So let's say that you decide you're going to buy a bond because they're, again, for growth or for safety?
For safety.
For safety. So you buy a $10,000 bond. Current interest rates in this example is 2%. Okay.
Okay, so that was the third time I had him say he bought the bonds for safety.
So that would give you how much of interest per year?
$200.
$200. So you're happy, but then the next year, can interest rates go up?
Yeah, they could.
So let's say they go up, just for an example, and they go up to how much here?
3%.
And 3% on 10,000 is how much?
$300.
$300. So that's what the new bonds are priced. Now, for whatever reason, you decide, oh, I don't want this bond anymore. I need the cash. I need that $10,000 to buy a car or whatever it may be. I want to sell that bond.
Okay.
So you go to a broker or you go to your banker and you say, I want to sell this bond. And they look at it and it's paying what?
2%.
But the going rate is what?
3%.
Do they want your bond?
No.
No.
Not really.
So guess what they're going to tell you? We'll buy your bond, but are we going to give you $10,000 for it?
No.
Because it's worth more or worth less at this point? If it's only kicking out 200 when this one's kicking out 300.
It's worth less.
It's worth less, right. So what they're going to say is, we'll buy it, but we're going to buy it for whatever it's worth. So here's how they determine what it's worth. See, the interest they're getting is a full 1/3 less than what with yours that they could get here, right? So they're going to multiply $200. I'm sorry, they're going to divide it. They're going to take $200. So can we clear this and do $200?
Okay.
Divided by.
You see here, I have a big calculator. I'm having him punch these numbers into the calculator. Why? Because psychologists and psychology tells us that when somebody punches the numbers in, they believe it.
3%. And what's that equal?
$6,666.
So guess how much they're going to give you for your bond?
$6,666.
So you start out with what?
Well, 10,000.
Now you're down to what?
6,700.
So you've lost a third. So what percentage is a third?
33%.
Does that seem like a lot or not?
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So is it risky or is it safe?
Well, it's very risky.
Very risky.
I have a lot of people question, and remember, we're just showing them in general terms how this works. But when I worked at the bank, at Wells Fargo Bank, back 25 years ago, we sold a lot of individual bonds. And I will tell you, I have seen individual bonds fall 50%. And there ain't nothing like talking to a client whose individual bond is, they bought it from you a year ago, and now they want to resell it back to you, and you tell them they're only going to get 50% of that. That is a problem. That's a problem because it didn't mature. It didn't mature. They just wanted to sell it before the maturity. So I sold them a bond, and then they wanted to sell it before maturity. It was down. Guys, bonds do go down like this.
Risky. So you were sold bonds because they grow, or you sold them because they were safe?
We were sold them because they were safe.
Yes.
4 times now. He said he bought the bonds because they were safe.
Now, did you know, if I could find my little, did you know, this is a list, this is a chart of 10-year Treasury bond yields. Starts in 1790.
Mm-hmm.
We're over here, interest rate wise. So I drew a straight line down across here because it's showing that have we ever, since 1790, through the Civil War, through World War II, to present, have we ever had interest rates lower than they are right now?
No.
And guys, even today's interest rates are significantly higher. They're double what they were a couple of years ago. But where are today's interest rates on this graph? Does this graph still work? Yes, it still works because we're where? Instead of here, we're here. Instead of here, we're here. So does that still work? Yes, it still works.
So how much room? They were all the way up to over 15% in the 70s. How much? Almost always they're around that 4 or 5 level.
Mm-hmm.
How much room do we have for interest rates to go down versus up?
Well, we have hardly any room to go down.
Yeah. And right now, how's our national debt?
Oh, it's high.
How's the Social Security and Medicare systems, which is what a lot of our taxes go to? How are they doing?
Not that well.
So guess what's going to have to happen in order for the government to raise money to pay for those things sooner or later? Interest rates are going to have to do what?
Well, they're going to have to go up.
So are we in more danger of interest rates going down or more danger of interest rates going up?
More danger of interest rates going up.
And if they go up, where are we right now? If interest rates go up, what happens to your bonds?
They're going to go down.
They're going to go down. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, that's bad.
By a little or a lot?
No, they'll go down a lot.
Yeah. So if you're in bonds, what's happened to your safety?
That's out the window.
Out the window. But you might be thinking, well, why don't I just hold them to maturity? Because if I hold them to maturity, I'm going to get my what back?
You'll get your money back.
Yeah. If we think about that, though, if you're holding a maturity and it's $200,
mm-hmm.
and interest rates go up to $300, what's happening to the buying value of your $200?
It's going down.
And it goes up to 4%. What's happening to the buying value of your $200?
It's going down.
So
again.
what's happening to your lifestyle?
Well, it's going down.
It's going down. And here's the other thing you should know is this: is stocks and interest rates work similarly. We've just seen interest rates go down. When the Fed lowers them, what happens to the stock market?
Usually goes up.
So what's going to happen? This is stocks. This is interest rates. So guess what's going to happen when interest rates go down? What's going to happen to stocks?
They're going to go down.
So now your what went down?
The bonds went down.
And your what went down?
Stocks went down.
What are you going to do for more money if you need it? So now you're trapped with your lifestyle doing what?
Just getting worse.
Guys, we're sold as a bill of goods for those of you who've been in the business as long as I have, since the 80s. we were sold a bill of goods that what? Bonds, diversified stocks, that when one went up, the other went down. In the last 2 decades, what have we found out? In the last 2 decades, what have we found out? That they're diversified, or that they act far more similarly than they would think. Yeah, they are not diversified. They act very similarly.
And going lower.
And you got into bonds again for what?
Safety.
Does that look like we're safe at this point?
No.
And here's the problem. It gets a little worse.
Okay.
You're not in individual bonds that you can hold maturity. You're in bond funds.
Right.
So with bond funds, there is no maturity. So you own $100 million of bonds in these funds?
Okay.
Do you own them, or does all the people own them?
Oh, everybody owns them.
So let's say you're smart, you're a buy and hold kind of investor, you're going to hold on for the long term. So if interest rates go up and the bonds just go down 5%, will it be not you, because you're smart, you're going to hold, but will some other people kind of panic at 5% down and say, I'm out of here?
Yeah, some people will.
Some people, not everybody, some people. And when they ask for the money, what does the money manager have to do?
Well, he's got to give it to them.
He's got to give them their money, right? You can't tell them, no, we're going to hold. So then when he sells bonds to give them their money, we just locked in those what?
Losses.
And some people won't sell at 5%. They're going to say, what? I'm going to wait till it goes down 10. And what will they do?
Sell.
And what's going to happen to those bonds?
Now they're going to go down.
And then you've locked in more what?
Losses.
Now you're smart, you're holding on, but by every silly willy-nilly person that's selling bonds, are you being rewarded or punished?
Punished.
And you're locking in those what?
Locking in losses.
And when will you get those losses back? Because these bonds are being sold before maturity, will you ever get those losses back? Are they locked in?
No, they're locked in.
The only way you get them back is if the interest rates go lower than they are right here. And what's the chance of that?
Not good.
And you could wait, how many years did we look at for interest rates can go one direction for how many years?
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
So when would you ever get those losses back?
No, you wouldn't.
So were you ever shown
No.
this?
No, never.
Because when you bought these,
Guys, how many clients? Oh, Steve, I know that. Talk to Steve here. Steve, because you do this so well with your the 20-point checklist with clients. How many clients are like, oh yeah, no, I get this, no, I understand this, or was this a completely new news to them when you go through? And flabbergasting news. Yeah, I mean, are they? Is it? So Steve said it's new news. And are they like, oh, well, I guess it's not a big deal? Or are they like, holy crap, I've been. This is totally Yeah, they feel betrayed. Exactly.
For bonds, were you sold them because you thought they were going to grow a lot, or because they were safe?
Oh, no, because we thought they were safe.
You bought them because they were safe. So you wanted more safety or less safety?
More safety.
And you got what?
Guys, remember, I do this now at the end of every script. What do? I do the old optometrist trick, which is a first lens or second lens, second lens or third lens or fourth lens. I make them compare side by side, this by this, this by this, by this, by this. So I'm saying, going through, in this particular case, safety and fee.
Safety.
Got less safety, right?
Right.
And you want to, now you might think, why would they sell us these? Well, here's the thing. Have you ever been shown that you could get basically the same interest rate? The same interest rate as you're getting right now, but you wouldn't have any maturity risk because, again, with your bond funds, can you hold them to maturity?
No.
So that's maturity risk. And you could get similar or the same interest rates, no maturity, and no inflationary risk. Because what do we say about it? If you hold on, what's going to happen to the buying power of your bonds?
It's going to go down.
And are they government guaranteed? Even if they buy government bonds inside, they might buy U.S. Treasuries inside, but do you hold the bonds or does everybody hold the bonds?
Everybody.
Can you hold them to maturity?
No.
So does the government guarantee help you at all if they're selling bonds for losses?
No.
So getting the same rate of return with government's guarantees.
What investment am I talking about here, guys? They could have gotten the same interest rate without maturity risk, with government guarantees. What am I talking about? CDs, right, Steve? CDs. So why don't advisors sell CDs? Because they don't make money on them. That's why.
Similar interest rates, but without these risks. Were you ever shown those?
No.
And here's the sad thing. Guess how much those cost? Guess how many fees they have?
I'm not sure.
0. So with fees, do you want high fees or do you want low fees?
Oh, low.
And you got what?
Now we have high fees.
Got high fees. So
do you want do you want safety or you want risky? I want safety. Do you want low fees or high fees? I want low fees. Okay, well, you want safety and low fees, but instead you got what? Something that wasn't safe and high fees. Do you see how that optometrist tricks? I'm saying this versus this or this versus this, which is, do you see how clear is it to him now that he's been effed? You wanted safety, you wanted low fees. What you got is non-safety and high fees. How clear is it in his mind now that that advisor has effed him? Do you see how doing these little four quadrant diagrams at the end of each of these scripts makes it how clear to the client that, you know what, this guy gave me the exact opposite of what I wanted, and he's charging me more for it. How many people are happy when they're given the exact opposite of what they wanted, and they're paying more than if they'd been given what they wanted? People happy or not happy?
you want this, a lot of safety or less safety?
A lot of safety.
With how many fees?
Low.
Instead, you have what?
Less safe with more fees.
Yeah. So you're paying more or less for what you truly wanted. You truly wanted what?
We really wanted safety.
And you're paying more or less for that safety.
We're paying more.
And you're getting what?
We're getting less.
So why do you think you weren't shown that you could have gotten these versus what you currently have with the bonds and the bond fund?
Yeah, I'm just starting to wonder if he really knows what he's doing.
Could be, but isn't interesting, again.
Is that what I wanted to say? He doesn't know what he's doing. Y or N? Do I want the client to say that I'm wondering if my advisor is knows what he's doing? Y? Do I want him to say that yes or no? Bob's got it. Oh, I'm getting about half and half. No, I don't want it. If he's an idiot, can they go back to him and say, listen, you idiot, why did you do this? And what would their advisor say? I'm sorry. I'll fix that for you. You're right. I was an idiot. No. What do they have to say? He wasn't aware, or he did this on purpose. Can he save himself from he did this on purpose? Guys, all of you have been in business long enough. Have you shown people idiotic things that their current advisor has done, and then they take that information back to their current advisor and he fixes it? Has that ever happened to you? When I was making 50 grand, that last year I was making 50 grand a year, and I was pointing all these things out, I was getting gift baskets from all of my competitors because at Christmas, because whatever you do is keep doing it, because all those mistakes you're pointing out, they're coming back and they're telling us that they want to make changes, and then they make those changes with him, not with me. What only works is when they find out my guy did it on purpose.
What can happen when the fees are higher?
Well, he gets more money.
What would he get if the fees were zero?
I don't think he'd get anything.
He wouldn't. So again, everybody's got to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're paying for something, we expect what?
Well, we expect something.
Yes. Are we getting something here? Or are we getting actually the total opposite of what we wanted?
Well, we're getting the opposite of what we wanted.
Do we want to pay for getting the total opposite of what we wanted?
No.
If I'm going to go to a hotel, do I expect to pay more at the Waldorf Astoria than at the Motel 8?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But if I'm being charged Waldorf Astoria fees for Motel 8 conditions, I'm what?
You're going to be angry.
So you want what?
We want safety.
And you got?
Risky.
You want it, and for that privilege, you're paying what?
Higher fees.
When you could have got it for absolutely
zero.
So why is this happening?
Well, he's just trying to make a sale. He's just trying to make money.
See how I circled back. I wasn't happy with him saying, well, I'm questioning whether he even knows what he's doing. And that's the thing. It sounds like the right thing, doesn't it? Half you guys responded, yeah, that's what you want. It does sound like the right thing, doesn't it? But you have to understand what I'm going for is not that he didn't know, not that he didn't care. I want that he did this on purpose. That he cannot recover from. He can recover from, I didn't know that. He can even recover from, I didn't care, but I'm going to, you know what, you're right, I need to pay more attention. But can he recover from, you did this on purpose. You gave me the exact opposite of what I wanted, and I could have gotten what I wanted for free, but instead you gave me the exact opposite of charging me for it. Can he recover from that? That's right, Steve. Motive, 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 motive. He cannot recover from that. Does that make sense? Does that help you understand this interest rate volatility script a little bit better about why we're walking through it the way that we do? And again, does Jeff ever answer in a way that's just for me? No, because I didn't want him to say, well, I'm starting to question what he wanted. I didn't want him to say that. So, I mean, I'm having these scripts work. And you do these scripts the way I laid out here, and your clients will say exactly what Jeff is saying. Make sense? Awesome. Well, you guys have a fantastic rest of the week, and we will talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.